Hey, what's up everyone? This is David Tong from iPhotocourse.com. Today I'm going to share with you how to creatively blend two different white balance settings within one photo. You might be wondering why we want to do that. In the photo you see on the screen right now, it was shot as this. The white balance was set so that I can capture the blue hour effect in the sky. The blue hour is pretty much how the sky renders everything blue a couple of minutes after sunset, when the sun is just below the horizon. And with this white balance setting, we can take a look at the actual temperature, which is 4250. We were able to get a nice blue sky. But as you can see, the building itself also has a tinge of blue on it. If you take a look at the foreground as well as the building itself, we lost the nice warm fuzzy glow of these incandescent lights in the restaurant. This is a big part of the photo. As a matter of fact, this is probably the central subject of the photograph, and not the sky. We just want to keep the sky blue, but we also want the foreground and the subject itself to have a nice glowing, warm orange hue. The reason why we want to do this is simple. It has to do with something called a color wheel. A color wheel is basically a spectrum of light that shows you which colors are complementary to each other, which pretty much tells you which colors work well with each other. In nature, we see this all the time. It's pretty much a standard thing that we don't even notice. You know, most plants are around red or rose color. It complements nicely to green with the leaves. For example, blue or azure, the typical night blue hour settings, which is around in this color spectrum, it complements well with red, orange, and yellow, the warm tones. So that's what we're trying to achieve right here. Now that's exactly what we're trying to replicate here. We want to get yellow, orange, the red warm hues here, diagonally half the screen, and keep the blue on top. Okay. In Photoshop, yes, you can do masking and things like that, but you know, most of the time Lightroom is more than enough, and we're here to show you how. So this is our original image. As I said, what our goal is to turn it into something like this, our finished product. So you can see with the finished product, the whole area in front, including the subject, has a nice golden glow to it. The sky, we get the nice blue hint, but the sky we get the nice cool blue effect, which complements nicely to the foreground. And we also reduce the intensity of the blue because the previous original photo had some blue areas clipping already, like these parts. Again, if you take a look at the differences, especially around the building where these white sections are, it went from the purple-blue tinge to a more natural and more correct orange glow. The reason we're doing this is twofold. One is for accuracy, because the scene that I saw during capture resembles this, because our eyes are capable of adjusting to what is white regardless of whatever light condition that is. Unlike our cameras can only calculate and be told what the light temperature is for one particular light source. In this case, we have natural light, which is blue, and artificial light, which is very, very warm. That's why we need to separate the white balance between the sky and the foreground that we have to create a more optimal color photograph. So how do we get to this photo from this? It's actually pretty simple. First we create a virtual copy just so that we have another copy that we can refer to. Now we take a look at our image. As I told you a while ago, we want to change the sky only. So we try to nail down what we want for the foreground. Remember, before adjusting any white balance settings, make sure your exposure is already nailed down, because every time you change your exposure, the white balance changes as well. So let's just keep the original exposure, because I think it's pretty much what I wanted. Now we adjust the white balance. We adjust the temperature slider to something more golden. You can go nuclear over it, 50,000, or you can cool it down to something really blue. Right now, I think a temperature of around 7,500 would be okay, or even lower. You can just use a slider if you want. I'm more familiar with just adjusting the Kelvin temperature directly, but it's up to you. Okay, so I'll stick with my 7500 setting. I'm pretty much okay with that. Now you can see that the sky lost its bluish hue. Okay, it started to become a little bit purple, a little bit muddy. So this is what we're trying to fix right now. Let's turn the top part blue. You click on the adjustment brush tool, or just press K. Okay, and it will bring you to the adjustment panel, adjustment brush panel. Everything you see here are pretty much the same as what you saw in the develop panel. Exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, color, temperature. Pretty much everything's here. You're just trying to localize everything. So what we wanted to do is to cool down the sky, right? So what we need to do is choose the brush. See, this is the brush. And you choose the size of the brush first. Okay, doesn't really matter as long as it's not too big. And you set the feathering, which is a setting on how hard the edges are. Set it to 100. Flow, I usually keep it to 50. And I start painting over the sections I want to turn blue. But before I do that, I go back up in the temperature part. I adjust the slider all the way down to the end. Remember, I can adjust it later, so it doesn't matter. I just want to keep it to the negative settings so I can see the effects better. Then I can start painting over it. As you can see, you already see the changes going around it. In the bigger sections of the image, you can just enlarge the brush. You can press the right bracket key to make a bigger brush, or just use the slider and adjust to save some time. For the sake of illustration, I'll just use a large brush and paint over the sky. And there we go. Okay. If you're curious as to which areas of the photo you actually painted, you can just hover your cursor over this little dot and it will show you the red mask. And it will show you the area where you actually painted over. So you can see we over painted some of the parts here and around this balcony area. You can erase it by using the erase tool. Again, we're still in the brush panel. You scroll down, you see the brush, and you click erase. And just like the brush tool, you can choose the image size and the brush size and the flow and everything. So you just paint over the areas you don't want the effect applied. For me, I don't want the clouds to be that blue. I want to make sure that the balcony area isn't that affected and the whole building is okay. Okay, that's all we did. So we're pretty much there, but you know, the reason why I set it to -100 is because I want to see exactly or clearly which section I actually painted. So now we slide the temperature down to a more manageable level. A while ago it was like this, has a purple tinge and everything. So now I adjust it more to the blue side and just adjust my taste. You know, to get rid of the purple hue, I drag the greens a little. Okay, And there we have it. You can adjust it some more by, playing with the saturation, or increasing the contrast. It's really up to you. Or even you can lower the exposure of the sky if you want. Turn it really dark or turn it bright. Okay, so now I'm gonna adjust it a little, and I'm pretty much happy with that. Since this is a blank slate, it's a sky, chances are noise will appear, so you just drag the noise slider up and down and take a look if you're good. Okay, I'm pretty much happy with it, and this is what we got. Compare it to the original again. This is the original. And this is what we got after. Just ignore the second image. This image was the example. So again, you can blend it this way. You can have a less saturated sky, or you can have a more colorful one. The concept is the same. You're just trying to get a different white balance in the sky and on your subject itself. So right now you can see a more dramatic contrast, and this is closer, much closer, and much more accurate than of what I actually saw during capture than this original photo. So there you go. I hope this tutorial was able to help you fix any photograph you have, especially in this city where you got multiple light sources and multiple white balance colors inside your photo that you just couldn't balance out. So there you go. Hope you liked the tutorial, and stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our Facebook page, and I'll see you around.